I've never seen a picture of my mother, but I've traveled to her homeland, my homeland, dozens of times. I've met her brothers and sisters, and I've even met my own birth father and 8 half-brothers and sisters I didn't know I had. But when I ask my mother's relatives to describe her, they throw out generalities. She was pretty, she was nice, she was smart, meaningless. I know my mother had to be shrewd to save the lives of myself and my sister, which is what she did in the most miraculous of ways. Walter Anderson once said that bad things do happen, but what defines our character and the quality of our life is whether or not we choose to sit in perpetual sadness, immobilized by our grief, or if we choose to rise from the pain and trust the most precious gift we have, life itself. Marcus Samuelson lost his mother at a very young age to tuberculosis. And when he was adopted by a Swedish family, he lost touch with his culture. While he struggles with the death of his mother, he learns to move on and connect with her through her culture and food. Yes, Seth by Marcus Samuelson. I've never seen a picture of my mother, but I know how she cooked. My mother sped bear an Ethiopian spice mixture. It's our salt and pepper. We use it on everything. And I know my mother used it because it's in the DNA of every Ethiopian mother. You see, I could take you to my own tin in my kitchen. It has my own blend and it's marked with my legible scrawl and blue electrical tape. I'd take a handful and hold it up to your nose so you can smell the ginger and the red chili peppers and you see, when I go to Abriganda now, I stare at those young mothers to the point of being impolite. I look at them and their children, and it's like watching a whole movie of my childhood that just doesn't exist. Those young women have a young child on their back and a slightly older kid with their holding on to their right hand. And it could be my sister and me. Women like my mother don't wear shoes. They don't have shoes. You see, I don't remember my mother's voice, but I know she spoke 2 languages. You see, W.E. Du Bois spoke of the double consciousness that African Americans are born into. You see, the need to both live in the white world and the black world. But that African double consciousness is not limited to African Americans. My mother was born into it too. She had to, essential to her survival, to both speak the language of her inner community, Amhara, and language of her outer community, Omodu. I don't know my mother's face, but I've seen her features staring back at me in the mirror my entire life. You see, I know I had a tattoo of a cross somewhere near her face. That tattoo taking place of the jewelry she couldn't afford or even dream of having. She was an Ethiopian Christian, which is similar to being Catholic. I don't remember my mother's voice. But sometimes I think I can remember the sound of breath. I was 2 when a tuberculosis epidemic hit Ethiopia. I was sick, my mother was sick, and my sister Fatia was only slightly better. We were all coughing up blood, and my mother had seen enough in her young life to measure the ravages of this disease. She knew she had to do something, so she threw me on her back and she grabbed my sister. It was all coming at her. The fatigue and the fever, the pieces of her lungs splintering and mixing with her throat, the calcifications on her bones where the disease had already spread. She and Fatigue walked more than 75 miles from our village to the hospital in Addis Ababa. I don't know how many days they walked or how sick my mother was by the time she got there, but I do know that when we arrived, there were thousands of people sick and dying and awaiting care. I don't know how my mother got us through those lines and reached the hospital, but I know she never left that hospital. And it's only by the miracle of that and a tattoo that me and my sister got out alive. So, in the middle of the night, when I should be sleeping, I stay up and I imagine the sound of a woman's breath who not only gave me life, but delivered me from death. Sometimes I walk into my kitchen and I grab a handful of beber and I sift it through my fingers and I smell it. And I throw it into a pan. Sometimes I watch my wife cook and I imagine that her hands are my mother's. I have learned the recipes of my mother's people because for me, that is the easiest connection to the mysteries of who my mother was. Her identity remains stubbornly shrouded in the past, but I feed myself and the people that I love the food she made. But still, I cannot see her